I enjoyed life. And so when I became old enough to go on my own,
You
I,
grew up.
yeah, I said to my stepdad at the time, I was living with him. He bribed me to go to Texas from New Jersey. And he said, you know, your mom and I are getting together and we're moving to Texas. And he said, if you'd be willing to bring her stuff down to Texas, I will co-sign for a pickup truck for you and give you the $800 deposit to get it. And I'm like, okay. So I had questions. I said, do I have to stay when I get there? Because I don't really know anything about Texas. He said, no, if you don't want to stay, you don't have to stay. And I said, well, how am I going to pay for the truck? He said, well, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to get you a job. And he says, you're going to be making $400 or $500 a week. Now, back then,
Oh, I trust me. I know. I remember when we used to get excited about putting $5 in gas, go all the way to Elizabeth and come right back. I'd be like, that was the best day of my life. I get $500 back there, but go on.
yeah, well, full week of work at the drugstore in Atlantic Highlands, locally here, was $123. So that was 4 times the money I was making. I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
So I went down there and ended up staying for 5 years. But within 2 weeks, my stepdad, I was coming home late, and he's like, "This is my house. You got to get in here by 10 o'clock or whatever. Forget the time exactly."
Rules, regulations, and policies. You didn't read the fine print, did you?
Yeah. So I said, "All right." So after enough of that, I finally says, "All right, I'm moving out." And so I literally just turned 18. He said, "You're legal. There's the door." And so the rest is history. I just started to try to find ways to make money. And I got introduced to network marketing. And
That early.
yeah,
Okay, I got questions. What company?
Amway.
Wow. Okay, so you went the story that we hear about. Okay, so was it at the time? What is it? What was it called when they rebranded?
Quickstar.
Was it Quickstar at the
Well,
time?
Quickstar rebranded. It was Amway first.
And then he went to Quickstar, and then
Right.
they went backwards again at
Yeah.
some point. Okay, all right, but go on. So, how was that first year of the best year of your life?
So I was actually, I took a job at the Knights of Columbus, and I was a bartender, and I worked the weekends and whatever they needed me to do. And it was there that the guy that trained me, I was taking his job as the bartender, introduced me to Amway. He says, I'm leaving because I'm getting into the Amway business. I'm like, what is that? And so he showed me, and the next thing you know, he's recruiting me. And I was really blessed. You talk about being blessed as you know, God ordained it. The man who came into my life within a year was a strong believer, and he told me, come down to North Carolina. I'll sponsor the trip, and after that weekend, you can decide if this is for you.
It sounds like the same exact story with your stepdad. It's just a different role model and a different path. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So his name was Dominic, and he went on to be with the Lord. But he was such an instrument in my life to becoming a man of faith. His mentor was a fellow who was strong in faith. And so after that weekend, he gave me his personal Bible, signed it, and that was my start of becoming a Christian.
So very, very early. I mean, it's not a, there's some people who, they wait until very, 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 very late in life where they're like, okay, I emptied my tank of doing every sin possible. I checked it all off.
Yeah.
All right, now let me try this church thing, right? But actually, it was an early journey for you that it's not just an exit strategy from the fun life, but it's actually a lifestyle that you choose.
Right.
So now that's phenomenal to hear.
So I was attracted to him as a man of God,
Yeah.
but more importantly, he was very successful. And I'm like, I'm living, like you said, talked about putting $5 in a gas tank. I was just trying to figure out how to make some money to eat. Because now all of a sudden I had rent, which I never had before. I had a car payment. Some of these bills are coming. I'm like, what do I do? So I just did whatever I could. And he said, well, I'll teach you if you're teachable. And so I was with him for a long time, made money, lost money, spent more money traveling to go to conventions just because I wanted to be around him and
Of
be
course.
around good people. And my wife traveled with me for a number of years, and then she finally said, "I've had enough of this." And but that was my kind of my start in the Christian faith and in desiring to do better.
I was gonna say